doesn't know about basketball, and never has, never will. He's useless if you want to know the truth, other than to yell and scream. Stephen A. Smith is mad. He's angry. He's playing defense. Just because your yells something doesn't mean it's true. He is like a Kardashian. That's who he is. That's it. It's exactly what Smith is. He is a Kardashian of sports. The male Jasmine Crockett, Stephen A. Smith, is and has been booted off NBA Countdown. NBA Countdown put up with Smith and his stupidity for a long time, but Smith, well, he's been given the boot. And I asked this the other day, what exactly is Smith good at? He can't be on NBA Countdown. They can't have him on Monday Night Football. He's not on college football. He's not on college basketball. He's not on hockey. He's not on baseball. You tell me, what does he do? He's not on the NBA. I mean, you tell me. He can't be an analyst. I'm telling you, his show is at 10 o'clock in the morning, which means, on network TV, nobody really pays for those ads. You tell me. I have no idea. But ESPN maybe is finally waking up, realizing, wait a second here, we paid $20 million for an African-American face of our network, and that's all we're getting. He yells, he screams, he shows up. You ask him to show up, he'll show up. He is like a Kardashian. He's a combination of Jasmine Crockett and Kim Kardashian. Famous for being famous, not really doing anything. And when he talks to a white audience, he speaks one way like Crockett. African-American, he speaks the other way. And he's so afraid to lose his, quote, brother roots that he doesn't know who the hell he is half the time. He's literally Kardashian Crockett. He is. Think about it. Can't put him on a game. Not an analyst. Can't put him on a set. Doesn't know. What does he do? He argues. And now poor Shay Cornett, who's trying to be a climber at ESPN, she got to sit there and listen to that stupid shit. Molly Quarren said, I'm out. But anyway, Stephen A. Smith is mad. He's angry. He's playing defense against reports that he was yanked off NBA Countdown. If he wasn't, he should have been. Sage Steele and others, basically everybody that ever worked on that show that I knew, said it is the worst show, which it is, in television history. It can never get any traction. So now it's the second unit behind Charles Kenny, and of course, those like Ernie and Shaq. Anyway, seemingly every NBA fan crushed Smith last year, first for getting caught playing solitaire during the NBA Finals, which I'll give Smith credit. He's pretty smart. He always complains, but he never explains. Hey, screw you, I'm Stephen A. Smith. And if you say anything, he's going to use the brother card. And that's what he does. That's who he is. That's it. Doesn't know shit about basketball. He never has, never will, never played, even though he faked like he did. He's playing solitaire during the finals instead of watching. See, when you get on a set, usually they say to anybody on the set, hey, give me a few clips I want to play that you find interesting. Give me something. Guarantee you he's never done that. He's useless, if you want to know the truth, other than to yell and scream. And he shows up, which is 75% of life. Well, now Smith is claiming he's too big. He's too big for the show. Really? What exactly are you too big? You do a radio show on Sirius nobody really listens to. What is too big? Well, every NBA fan that did crush him for playing solitaire, they crushed him for his lack of his basketball knowledge. And then when he hosted the draft alongside former GM who actually knew something, Bob Myers, he got absolutely destroyed. Here's Smith ranting. This is what he does. This is all he can do. He can just rant and use dramatic pauses and that. Tell me what he does. I'll hang up and listen. Tell me what he does that isn't Kardashian-like, famous for being famous. Tell me how he speaks that isn't Jasmine Crockett-like. Speak to the brothers, he speaks one way. Speaks to white folks, he speaks one way. It's very insulting to both if I gave a rat's ass, but I don't. I just like coming on here making fun of him because it's fun, because he's a talentless hack that's lied about his athletic career, but I admire him because he's very, very smart. I did an interview yesterday with Barrett Sports Media, and I said that. He's the useful idiot to Republicans. Let's get a guy, okay, Smith. He is. But he's very smart in how he has positioned himself. He doesn't do anything. Here he is, defending himself against reports that he got Das Boot from NBA Countdown.
The New York Post is out with an article about me, and apparently it's like breaking news or something like that. Stephen A. Smith is not on NBA Countdown. I'm kind of disappointed because that means, somebody's not watching me, and I'm used to everybody watching. I negotiated a new deal with ESPN, a new 5-year deal. That deal was negotiated between June of 2024 and March into April of 2025. I didn't want to be on the show. I negotiated coming off of it. Now, I love doing NBA Countdown, but once the Countdown show is over, I got other things to do than to be in studio watching the doubleheader and coming on at halftime. I got other stuff that I want to do to prepare for First Take the next day, the next morning, and to do an abundance of other things that I aspire to do. Of course, I'm still there to contribute. You see me, ladies and gentlemen, I'm on Monday Night Countdown for the NFL. I've been on there twice. I'll be on there a third time when the Eagles visit the Los Angeles Chargers in December, and hopefully there'll be more games. I wish I was doing every Monday Night Countdown when they're on the road because I love going to road games during football season. Doesn't bother me at all, but that's not my call. As it pertains to the NBA, I've been doing the NBA for 30 years. Inside the NBA crew, which is clearly the A team, with Barkley, Kenny Smith, Shaq, Ernie Johnson, they don't need me. But if they ever wanted me in Atlanta, I'd be there.
That's what I'm saying. He shows up. I mean, he can't sustain. I mean, he sustained that little show that he does. He doesn't have to prepare for that. I mean, let's be honest. You got a staff. Come on. I mean, it's all bullshit, and it's glorious at $20 million a year. It is such bullshit. It is Kardashian-esque. It is Jasmine Crockett-esque. And I am here for it. Let's go back in time where Stephen A. Smith, well, he's screaming during the NBA Finals, and he gets put in his place by Bob Myers, a man who couldn't take it anymore. He had to leave to take some job in basketball. And Smith's sitting there screaming, and Bob Myers simply puts him in his place because people that know ball know he is a damn fraud. Here he is.
But he acts like everybody that's been producing all year long, come Game 7, it's no different. It's no different. It's very, very, very different. And he knows this because he's a champion. And not only that, when they lost in Game 7, you were injured. You didn't play. Had you played, you might have beat the Lakers. It's a big deal. It's a Game 7.
Can I defend Your Honor here? I don't think we got time. Just because you yell something doesn't mean it's true. That's what
I'm finished saying that.
That's what I'm going to say.
Malika, he just finished saying that. Bob Myers just finished saying it's a Game 7.
I know.
That's exactly right. Just because your dumbass yells something doesn't mean it's true at all. Just because you make a lot of money doesn't mean you know. You don't know shit. You're a Kardashian. It's exactly what Smith is. He is a Kardashian of sports. And again, I ain't mad at him. I think it's brilliant. I mean, I'm a basketball savant. I mean, I'll tell you, I don't care. I mean, people know this. I mean, every coach that you've ever seen in college basketball has called me at one point or another in their career to ask about something, maybe basketball, maybe personnel, maybe how to handle a situation. It's who I am. And that's great. Smith is a Kardashian. He's a Crockett. Swear to God. Watch how he talks. He was talking the other day. Ain't no brothers coming to Mississippi when he needs to talk like he's a chameleon. It's great. That's what the Kardashians do. You need a set of tits, they put them on. You need an ass, we pad it up. That is my man, Stephen A. Smith. He's actually not my man. I don't know that I've ever met him. If I do, I don't remember. Here's Smith asking Perkins about his body fat, which Bob Myers tells Perkins, don't bother answering that stupidity. Here he is.
Just forgive my curiosity. Would you mind informing us of what
Don't
the
do
body
that.
fat
Don't do that. That's over the line.
Could you inform us about what the body fat was when you came back a month later?
You don't have to answer. Yeah.
Well, you can do that. I didn't ask what it was originally.
See, Smith isn't even funny. He's not even entertaining. He's played out. ESPN made a massively bad deal. They didn't have to pay Smith that. I get it. They wanted an African-American face. We all get that. We do. But you didn't have to pay him that. That's just dumb. Hey, look, you tell me. You think Stephen A. Smith earns $20 million a year for ESPN? You know, we had Scott Dolson, the athletic director at Indiana, on our show on Friday when we were at Indiana. And we talked about Kurt Cignetti's new contract, $11.7 million, and he made it very clear between ticket sales, enrollment, jerseys, you name it, seat licenses, liquor sales in town, beer sales in town, people coming in town, spending the night, hotels have jacked through the roof. He's earned his money and then some. You tell me, do you really think Stephen A. Smith has earned $20 million, or do you think that the white dudes in Building 4 said, hey, man, we got to get cover? And Smith was smart enough. If I were ESPN, and I said this at the time, I'd say go be a politician. This is what we're going to pay you. This is what you're worth. If not, go be a politician. Do you think anybody misses him even a little bit on NBA Countdown? He had to tell you, literally had to tell you that he's on Monday Night Football. Had to tell you that. So what's he on? Not on college football. Not an analyst for any sport. Certainly not on hockey. Not on baseball. I don't know. College basketball. I do remember when they asked Mike Tirico and I, could Smith sit in with us on our Tuesday game, and our entire truck begged, pleaded Mike, who had power at ESPN, to say, come on, man. And Mike lied. Mike went to the boss and said, Midwest, he's more of an East Coast guy. No, that's it. What does he do? He does nothing. Zero, zip. But he's getting paid big, and I love it. And he's morphed into some type of political useful idiot, which I love as well. No, it's all a fraud. It's all a shell game. And he pulled the wool over them white dudes. He did. And it's awesome. Bob Iger, Jimmy Patero, scared white dudes, Burke Magnus. Oh, yeah, Mike McQuaddy, or I don't even know if he's still there. I don't know who the hell's still there, but he did. Good for him. Yay, rah, go, fight, win. Hey, you enjoying the show so far? Make sure you head on over to youtube.com/@sign. Don't at me with Dan Dakich to like, comment, and subscribe. That way you'll never miss any of our great content. Feel free to argue with each other in the chat. We get a kick out of that. Tonight, 6 o'clock, we got a lot. Hey, Sean, what are you doing? It's mandatory. We're gonna have a ball tonight, 6 o'clock. The chat is open. The show is live. My man, Sean, what are you doing tonight with a cheeseburger?
We're going to one-shot this thing, Dan. We're going to take it down in one whole bite, right straight down. I saw this video. I said, this is my alley. This is something I think I can accomplish for the great show and all the great fans that tune into the live.
We'll get, I don't know, a couple hundred people watching, then it'll explode. But we're making this fun, and it's 6 o'clock tonight. Live chat. All right, tell people what a one-shot. You're getting a McDonald's cheeseburger, and however you configure it, you're going straight Joey Chestnut and sucking that bad boy down.
Yeah, the original creator, he did a fold technique. Personally, for my history of you ever put down like a Martin's potato roll just as its own meal? So if you really want to do that, you ball it up. You got to start doing that, Dan. It's pretty good. And then you ball it up, you kind of crush it, and then you can just pop it right in. But this guy did a fold technique, so I think I have to respect the originator here and go with a fold.
So this is a cheeseburger. You fold it in half, you stuff it in, and it ain't coming out unless, of course, it comes out involuntarily tonight, right?
Right. Yeah. No. It's obviously the challenge is disqualified if it does come back up. And this gentleman did it. I guess the Goblin is who he is. He did it under a minute. So I'm going to aim to go under a minute also.
So do I have to then? Do we have to check your mouth? Do you have to open your mouth and make sure in a minute that there's no remnants of pickle or whatever is in a cheeseburger? Do we got to do that?
I've never been accused of not finishing a burger in my life.
That's true. Yeah, I've seen you. You're right. You're right.
We'll
I hung out next to you. Yeah, I hung out at the tap with you till whatever time watching football, cheering for some poor kid at Louisville to keep missing field goals. So, you've eaten. All right, there you go. Tonight, 6 o'clock, We're going to have a big chat. We're going to talk sports. We're going to have, hey, if you're in the Big Blue Nation and you're mad, or you're my boy Matty Jones, who's all mad at Kentucky Sports Radio, you can bring it too if you'd like. We don't give a shit. Anyway, hey, New York Giants, there it is, 6 o'clock. I love the thumbs up. Makes me look like a Clinton. Anyway, New York Giants running back Cam Skattebo is a star in the making. He seems like he is. He's in New York. He's got a big personality, pretty good player, except he's hurt. And being hurt, I don't know if he should have done this, personally speaking, as a coach. Let me get into it. His commitment is being questioned, his commitment to football, because of the latest spectacle. Skattebo was involved in a mid-show altercation, which was particularly surprising, given he's recovering from a season-ending injury that included, well, an open tibia fracture, torn deltoid ligament, and ankle dislocation less than a month ago. Here's what he did in the world of professional wrestling. Check this out. He's supposed to be hurt. Well, there you go. All right, now you got to understand something. I've been damn near ringside about 6, 8, 10 months ago, whatever it was, at professional wrestling. Skattebo is a short guy with massive thighs. He's little compared to those guys, but I guess the bigger question is, man, his injuries were pretty severe. Let me go through it again. Open tibia fracture, torn deltoid ligament, ankle dislocation a month ago, less than a month ago, and he's doing that. I don't know about that one. Here's from Ben Axelrod, who completely jacked up, messed up, screwed up, and then whined about the fact that we called him out on his reporting of our interview with Rick Pitino. He couldn't have screwed it up worse in typical awful announcing fashion. Ben Skattebo had a front row seat for John Cena's final episode of Raw. Segment in question occurred following the opening match at MSG. Reporter Jackie Redmond interviewed comedian Andrew Schultz, who proceeded to introduce a real New York legend to be in Skattebo, who was sitting nearby. As the interview returned to Schultz, it was quickly interrupted by a dude named Dominic Maestriano, who is currently one of the top heels in the WWE. After Mysterio, asked Skattebo how many years it's been since New York's last championship and whether or not the former Arizona State star could count. Hey, man, can you count? A shoving match ensued. Between the Judgment Day and the ringside celebrities, it all broke out. Skattebo in the middle. Professional wrestling's outcome may be predetermined, but the physicality is very much real. Axelrod actually got something right here. And if trained performers can suffer legitimate injuries, which if you go to an event they certainly do, then it's fair to wonder why an untrained running back no less, was involved in such a segment weeks after suffering a catastrophic injury. He's right. I mean, look, I don't understand why you would put yourself in this position. I really don't. It's strange to me. It's very odd to me why you would do that as a running back. I get it. It's fun and you're young. But, damn, your bread is going to be buttered by getting back on the football field. And in New York as a star, man, the world's your oyster. It's filled with velvet ropes, bottle service, and, anorexic models, if that's your thing. Here's Chris Mononigal, whatever the hell his name is, from WFAN. Here he is on it. He's one of those media guys in New York.
You've only got one good leg, bro. I don't want to get on Cam Skattebo. I don't want to get on Abdul Carter for going to have fun and going to a WWE event and having a good time and being part of the storyline. Like, it's one of these things. You're a young kid. You just became an NFL player. You get asked to do these things. You're probably a wrestling fan. It's fun, but you just had a devastating injury and you're on your feet pushing professional wrestlers. That is so jetsy, and that is just so. The optics are so bad.
Yeah, it is. And big fat guy in some kind of sweatsuit, yeah, even he's right once in a while. It's kind of like, what do they say? A stopped clock, a broken clock is right twice. But if anybody ever looked like a traditional radio host, it's that clown. And he's not wrong. Michael Strahan, Pro Football Hall of Famer, chimed in. I was supposed to go yesterday. I'm glad I didn't. I would have fought Skattebo for fighting on a broken ankle. What are you doing, man? We need you to play football. Don't hurt yourself doing that. Here's what Skattebo had to say to detractors following it. Honestly, if you don't like that having a good time while dealing with a tough time, then just go ahead and unfollow and casually move on. I'm not able to play football and have the fun I've been having my whole life, so I'm doing things outside the box, trying to find stuff to keep me happy. Enjoy the rest of y'all's week and just don't talk about me if you ain't got nothing nice to say. Oh, blank off. Oh, shut up, Skattebo. You haven't done shit. I mean, you're a media creation. Your team sucks. You're hurt. And you're acting like a little kid, putting your entire franchise who's relying on you at jeopardy. So stop with all your bullshit. Just stop and be an adult. I'm having fun. Oh, shut up. If I were the Giants, I'd say, yo, man, you go have fun. We're going to avoid this contract. Go get a lawyer and fight it. He ain't good enough to worry about. This ain't Walter Payton. This is a little guy that ran for a few yards on a bad team. You know, they always say, or we always say in basketball, somebody has got to score. Somebody's got to be the leading scorer, leading assist, leading rebounder on a bad team. Skattebo's a little guy in a big market on a bad team. So shut the living hell up and be a professional, you clown. No, I'm sorry. Here's Skattebo's viral moments. Here's him meeting Hasabula. There you go. Whoever that is.
Is your thing on? Is it on? It's on. I gotta introduce you to this guy.
My name's Scat. Nice to meet you, bro. Nice to meet you. That's so sick.
Look, the difference between Pat McAfee and Gronkowski is Gronkowski, who had a much better career, I mean, one of the great careers of all time, is a big stupid meathead. McAfee's a corporation. Skattebo's a little stupid meathead. He's going to stick his tongue out. Let me guess. He throws deuces or all that. I mean, he's just an idiot. And he was an idiot for doing that. Here's Skattebo showing off his jacked up shoulder. Okay, Skattebo.
Chat, I got a twin right here. I scratched my chin with this. Chat, I got a twin right here.
Skattebo seems to be racially confused. Again, like Stephen A. Smith, he changes the way he talks. That's not going to work. Now, I'm just telling you, this guy's a 10-second guy. And good for him. We're paying attention to him. He should be very happy. Listen to the way he talks. Who you talking to, son? Shut up. Shut up. Get in rehab. Get yourself right. Because we know what's going to happen. 2 or 3 years, maybe less, you're going to be gone. Nobody's going to give a shit. You're like Frank Kaminsky. Frank Kaminsky was a basketball player of the year in college basketball that seemingly had a good personality until what? People recognize he's an idiot. Smart kid, moron on television. Because of that, I'm sorry. I know we're supposed to love him. He can suck it. Anyway, Bill Belichick is being held hostage. I'm totally, completely, I'm convinced of it. You know, Jordan Hudson, I guess that's his girlfriend, is a member of an adult cheerleading squad. Well, guess what? 72-year-old Bill Belichick was spotted accompanying his 24-year-old, now seemingly cheerleader girlfriend at a cheer competition in Raleigh, North Carolina. And the internet is all abuzz. I'm telling you, he looks like a dude not living his best life. He looks like a dude to me that is being held hostage. If you tell me that he's living his best life, I will tell you his best life comes, and he missed it. He missed it with all the championships. Your best life when you are a coach or a player is walking across the court, the field, the pitch, whatever, when you just won the biggest championship in your field, and he missed it. He totally, completely missed it. Here's a guy, Bill Belichick, spotted at a cheerleading competition in Raleigh supporting his girlfriend, Jordan, who is a member of a co-ed adult cheerleading team. Woman, hey, aren't you Bill Bella? Yeah. No, see, all that stupid shit that you've read about Belichick and Saban, where, we won, but back in the hotel after the Super Bowl, after the national championship game, we got to move on to next year. Yeah, really? They both, I guess, are great. They are great coaches. They coached great. Miserable human beings. Now, Saban seems to be a little bit more evolved, but if we got to hear about Miss Frickin' Terry or any of that bullshit anymore, I'm going to puke. Belichick simply missed the moment. He did. And now, whatever this thing is with this 24-year-old girl, it seems like he is being held hostage. And hasn't she had a birthday at some point? Is she still 24? I feel like she's been 24 forever. Maybe she's Benjamin Buttons. Maybe it's going backwards for her. Here we go. Behind-the-scenes photos of Bring It On Part 9. Platt, struggling 24-year-old, strives for one last shot at cheerleading glory, but can she run her grandfather's football program and the adult co-ed cheerleading competition at the same time? It's a lot to ask. It's a big ask. It's a very big ask. But he's trying. Truly cannot imagine a worse hell. This is Zach Dean at Outkick. This is why I love Outkick. Truly cannot imagine a worse hell than sitting through an adult cheerleading competition as your 24-year-old girlfriend tries to relive the glory days. Holy cow, it's painful to watch. And I'm talking about both Bill and the recital itself, just pure pain. Bill looks so miserable, as he should. Has anyone in the history of time been spotted looking cheery at a cheerleading competition? Of course not. Rich boyfriend, fame, notoriety, by all accounts. Some pretty solid real estate holdings, if not shady. She's the first lady at Chapel Hill. Why is she putting Bill through this? Because when you date a 24-year-old, you get 24-year-old dating stuff. When I was divorced, it was around 40-something. I was trying to woo the lovely Lee Ross. She was putting a Heisman on me for a little bit. Well, I started dating a 28-year-old for a minute, and I'm like, yeah, I'm done with this. And I was only in my late 40s, early 50, maybe. No. Miserable. So you date 24-year-olds, you get 24-year-old activities. I will say this, though. As a dad, which is essentially what Belichick is here, I loved my daughter's dance contest, the dance team at Zionsville, or her dance, it was all this dance stuff, competitions. I would get home as fast as I could from Wisconsin or Michigan State or Iowa, wherever I had to get home from, and go. I loved it, but I could not imagine, not as a dad, sitting there with my little girlfriend, particularly as an adult, at a professional cheerleading contest. I love the world that we're living in. Up is down, down is up. See the Epstein files and Democrats. Anyway, oh, man. Good for you, Bill Belichick. Hey, the great Bobby Carpenter. You know him, you love him. You see him on the Bobby Carpenter Show at BCarp3. You see him in afternoons on Sirius XM Radio. He's everywhere. Let's get right into it. What will it be like? I always think about this as a coach, and I'm moving it forward. What will it be like game day for Ryan Day, the day of the Michigan game, knowing what's at stake, including we got to beat these clowns? Like, game day's the worst day ever. I learned that as a head coach, but walk me through how big this is for Ryan Day at all.
Well, I think this is something that they've been preparing for, Dan, all season long. I mean, and people ask you, and this is one thing, and you being a Midwest guy, spending time at Bowling Green, you get this, you understand it. Toledo is like the most forward-facing area of the rivalry. You've got a lot of mixed households up there, and people were saying, well, Ryan's not from Ohio, he doesn't get the rivalry. And what's interesting is once you've been in a place so long, and he made this point, he's like, my kids, all they've known now is growing up as Buckeyes. Like, this is what they're entrenched with. I may be from New Hampshire, but his daughter, I think his youngest daughter's a 7th grader. He's been here for 8 years. Like, this has been her life. This has been his son RJ's life. And it's interesting because they asked him about what it meant, like what the day was, what it meant to him after they lost last year. And he's like, well, after the passing of my father, these have been the worst days of my life. And so you talk about the gravity of the moment and trying to say, like, the guy it doesn't mean as much. He doesn't get it. Like, for someone to compare this, like, just a rung below a loss of a parent, especially at an early age, I mean, the guy gets it. And I don't know what else he can do. You put your team in position, you prepare, and maybe bringing in a guy like Matt Patricia, who's been a head coach, who had a lot of years in New England. He brought in a guy as an analyst, Josh Boyer, who is an Ohio guy who was up in New England for a long time. He was most recently the coordinator with the Dolphins. And I think, bringing in some guys, just some outside eyes and an outside perspective on things you give the game its due, but then you also have to understand that you've won a lot of games doing things a certain way. Like, you don't need to reinvent the wheel for this. Let's just go try to be as good as we can and execute on what we have. And so as a coach, Dan, you get to game day and the adage, the hay's in the barn, like the preparation is done. And then you just got to rely on the fact that your guys are prepared enough to go out there and make the plays they need to.
Bobby, can you compare this year's team with the last year Ohio State team? And if so, how do they compare good, bad?
So what's interesting is last year's team was wildly experienced. I mean, a lot of those guys were 3- and 4-year starters, tons of seniors. And I remember having this conversation with someone on the staff during training camp. And I go, I think this team might be more talented than last year's. I'm not going to say that until middle of the season, until they, beat Texas, until they get rolling a little bit, beat Penn State. But this team, you look at J.J. Smith, he's a year older. You look at Carnell Tate, he's a year older. He's a year better. This offensive line is largely all back. They're all better. They're improved. The running back situation is not quite as good. You lost 2 guys that were, second, third running backs taken, third and fourth running backs taken in the draft. Really great players. They're playing well on Sundays now. Will Howard, tremendous leader, tough, gritty, like all the things you want in a quarterback. But Julian Saint is a more talented thrower of the football. Now, you've got to somehow take that talent and polish it into experience, and you've got to find a way to make sure that skill development is there and you become a leader, and that's why Ryan has been impressing that on him. And then you look at a defense that lost 8 guys. So you're thinking, how could it possibly be better? Well, Matt Patricia does a great job of coaching and I call him schematist or whatever you want to say, but he does a great job with scheme, but he also does a great job with player relationships and developing guys. And it's been really impressive how he's taught guys the game of football. He's learned about guys and developing guys like Arvell Reese, who people were complaining why he didn't play more last year. I'm like, because he wasn't quite as good, and he's gotten a lot better. And a lot of it's how Matt Patricia chooses to use them. And you have had young guys who maybe, like I said, weren't as experienced, but were probably a little more talented. And now they've merged that talent with the experience, hopefully, throughout this season. And so I think you've got a pretty nice group that it should be going in there that, like I said, I think might end up being better than last year's squad, but they got to go prove it and write their own story.
I mean, I'm already going ahead. Ohio State's going to be Rutgers. Indiana's going to beat Purdue. I assume Indiana will beat Purdue, although I have like PTSD from 40 years of following Indiana football. I'm still not over it. How do those 2 teams match up in your eyes, Bobby?
It'll be a good game. I mean, you know this. Kurt Cignetti's a hell of a football coach. And last year I thought, and I told people this, watching Indiana play, once they beat Illinois, this Indiana team is better this year than last year. Like they're even more physical. They're tougher. He's had another year to institute his system. Some of those guys are developed. I go the quarterback. As much as I liked Rourke, they're better with Mendoza. Mendoza's an NFL quarterback. And so they've got the NFL quarterback. Surratt's an NFL receiver. I don't know that they have any pros on the offense and defensive line, or at least not any high-level guys, but they're really tough, man. They are really tough. They play incredibly fundamentally sound. They're disciplined, and they're hard. They move guys on offense and on defense. They are tough to move out of there. And you watched them against Oregon hold the point, play really well on offense, run the football against a really good Oregon front. So this team, matching up, it'll be a battle. And it'll come down, can Ohio State, make some of those explosive plays. I still think that they have more high-level pros. There's no J.J. Smith walking over there on Indiana. And so the difference is in that game is, can you get him in a position where he can expose somebody who might be a really disciplined player, is really good, but they're not elite on a talent level. And so that'll be the challenge for Ryan Day. And honestly, for me, especially with loss with Oklahoma and what happened with Ty Simpson, and there's still some ball left to be played, and so you want to make sure you check it all out. But honestly, unless there's a crazy letdown this week or one of those guys plays really poorly, I think the Heisman Trophy might come down to Mendoza versus Sayin, which who plays better in that Big Ten championship and who ultimately wins that game.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people are saying. I mean, Mendoza is the betting favorite, and Sayin is right there. Last week, Sayin was the betting favorite, and now Mendoza, is. Hey, Bobby, I want to go back to Dallas, the Cowboys, your days. When they traded Micah Parsons, did that surprise you being in the league like you were? And, is Jerry Jones, I don't know, he won early. Is he living off that? Is this team good enough to make a playoff push?
It's going to be tough because they're so far behind the 8 ball. When they traded Micah, it got personal, and Jerry hasn't really elaborated on it too much. And I know Micah, they've kind of backed off of it, and it's probably best to kind of walk away. You don't need to say anything else. But Jerry always pays his stars, and he takes pride in the fact that when you have to write these big checks, all the NFL owners know it. When you guarantee money, you have to be able to escrow all of those dollars immediately. And so Jerry, when he guarantees someone $100 million, he loves the fact that he can do that because there's owners that couldn't. Mike Brown in Cincinnati, that's something that they struggle to do. And Jerry, they always gave big signing bonuses because he wanted to look at everybody and just write that thing down and throw it in that escrow account, and we'll feel good about it. And paying his stars. You look at all the guys he's paid, CeeDee Lamb, Dak, Ezekiel Elliott, there's always a little bit of a rub. And like he said, it's crazy. Sometimes you got to stir up a little controversy, which is insane. If you're a head coach, Dan, you just put your hands in your face. You're like, can we just play some ball? But he does know how to sell it. And I'll give him credit on this as well. He trades Micah Parsons. Everyone's like, the season's gone. He's given up. Trading away a guy like that. And he goes, well, there's more trades to be made. It doesn't mean we can't trade these picks. I thought Jerry was full of crap. I'm like, my man's losing it. You're not going to get a generational player in the middle of the season. And they pulled off that Quinnen Williams trade. And I'll tell you, I think they're better with Quinnen Williams than they were with Micah Parsons. And that isn't to diminish Micah Parsons and what he is as a player, but I think the way they play and how they're built, it's going to be better this year, but also, Dan, better in the long term. Because Jerry knows, and he said it, he doesn't have a whole lot of more tomorrows. There's not a whole lot of more drafts in next seasons. The guy's in his early 80s, and he wants to win one more. I think it'll be tough for them to make the playoffs. They got a really brutal schedule coming up, but they should have beat Philly the first game. They've got the talent. They've got the ability. And now with Quinnen Williams, we'll see if they can stack a couple more. If they can get to 500 here in the next couple games, they'll have a shot to make a run. But even more than that, I think they are positioned to be better here in the next couple of years.
Hey, Bobby, you mentioned the Eagles. I'm asking everybody, all they do is win. All Jalen Hurts does is win, but all they do about him is bitch. All I hear is bitching. I know the offense number-wise isn't great. Where are you at with it, Hurts and the Eagles?
It's interesting because the A.J. Brown, situation where he's complaining about things, like you never want to have the squeaky wheel on your team, especially when you're winning and you've had a lot of success. Yeah. And so there's just a lot of questions with that, and he's been very aggressive with some of his comments. I think Jalen Hurts is a really good quarterback. You're going to ever say that he's the best guy in the NFL? Probably not. But he does things with his legs, and we can argue about the tush push and the fourth down QB sneaks, but man, he moves the chains. And as a quarterback in the offense, your job is to move the chains and score the football. And that is what they do, and they're very efficient at it. And so we may not like the way that it looks. We may want to complain about, hey, they're not putting up 600 yards of total offense, but they play a complementary game. Their defense has been pretty good. They've built their team a certain way, and they're probably going to have the number one seed in the NFC. Now, maybe the Rams have something to say about that, depending on what happens here over the next couple of weeks. But listen, I would much rather they can complain about people winning all the time, because I think, I don't know if Urban said this, and you may have heard him say it, like, don't apologize for winning. Like if you win, they can say whatever they want. Just put another check in the win column, and we'll keep moving along our way.
All right, last thing before I let you go, the rankings came out. Ohio State 1, Indiana 2, Texas A&M, Georgia. It's going to change. But where are you at with Alabama being in there, Miami? Where are you at with Notre Dame? Where are you at with the back end?
So people want to get really upset about the Notre Dame-Miami situation. And they're like, well, look at the wins, look at the losses, is it deserving versus best? And I said, they're tasked with getting with some constraints around it, the 12 best teams. You have to have 5 conference champs. Miami's not going to get in because they're going to have a hell of a time playing for your ACC championship just based upon tiebreakers and the fact they have 2 conference losses. So they ain't getting in. And they're not going to be ranked high enough to be an at-large. And the reality is about Notre Dame, they look a lot better today than they did 2 months ago. Miami does not look any better. They look, frankly, more inconsistent now than they did the first 4 weeks. And so that matters. How you're playing at the end of the season matters. Alabama can't run the football. They've really struggled the last month. Ty Simpson's been good, but if you can't run the football, you become one-dimensional. They can put you in the blender with coverages and blitzes, and it's really hard on your quarterback. So I think Bama's good. I think they're going to get in. I think Notre Dame's going to get in, and they should. I'm curious to see this USC-Oregon game and what that's going to look like and how it impact, the rankings. But I think we're going to have a really good playoff this year, probably better than last year, just based upon how they're reseeding it. And I think the teams that are getting in, we're going to have some great games for a month over every round, and you're not going to see these asymmetries that we saw last season.
Bobby, last thing. Is there any candidates out there for these big SEC jobs other than freaking Lane Kiffin? I mean, it's like it's Lane Kiffin or no one else in this country can coach.
Well, I mean, it's an interesting thing, and I don't know, because here's the reality. People always tell me the Florida job is great. I said, okay. Well, since Urban left there about 15 years ago, Dan Mullen had some success. They've had a double-digit win season here or there. They've had 4 of them. But you've had, now you're going 5 coaches in, and none of those guys have worked. And so I'm like, either it's the program, maybe you hired the right coach, but you didn't give him the support, or maybe you fired him too quickly, which also can be the case. And I know LSU's a really good job. I don't know why they hired Brian Kelly. I don't think he was ever really truly a fit there. But you got to find people, Dan, this, that fit the culture of what you're trying to do. In LSU, in Louisiana, I enjoy New Orleans. It's a unique place. You've got to be a unique guy. And one of my friends brought up, Jacob Hester brought up that Saban coached there. I was like, well, Saban's from West Virginia, man. Saban is a hillbilly by nature. So he went down to Louisiana, and you can relate to everybody. You can't be a pompous ass and go coach in Arkansas and look down on these people like, these are some people from I'm better than them. Like, you're never going to be able to win people over and recruit. So you've got to find that fit. I think Drinkowitz would probably fit at those places. He seems to be, and he's doing a great job at Missouri. But outside of that, people are looking around, and it's like, well, when you're paying someone $10 million a year or more, Dan, there's a little bit of reservation to like, are you really ready to commit to a 5-year relationship, knowing that if not, you're going to be on the hook for a massive buyout in 2 or 3 years?
Man, Urban, we were joking on text. I said, hey, man, we going to Penn State? He goes, yeah, you want to be offensive coordinator? I said, yeah, 3-year deal. Fire me after 6 months. Fire me after a month. I don't care. I want the buyout. I want, Bobby, the buyout is where it's at, man. It's wow. Hey, appreciate you. Thanks, Bobby. Appreciate your time.
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
There he goes, Bobby Carpenter. We are getting set. I think Indiana will beat Purdue. I'm sure Ohio State will beat Rutgers. And then it's Ohio State taking on Michigan in a massive, massive game. Bobby's always great. It's the damn awards, which means don't at me awards. All right, studs of the week. Oh, Sam Green. Sam Green's a fan who stood up to, well, Draymond Green, but that's not it. See, Sam Green did stand up, I suppose, but Sam Green seems like a little pain in the ass. He said that he's been thrown out of many games for heckling, so he's a little prick. But at least it was clever. Calling Draymond Green Angel Reese is a deep cut. But what was funny to me and made both not studs is how apologetic they were about not offending Angel Reese or not offending women. Screw that. Hey, why? You want to be the Michael Jordan of the WNBA, Angel Reese? Guess what? Even even Michael Jordan got criticized for time to time. A lot, actually, early in his career. No, Draymond Green is the Angel Reese of the NBA. He misses layups. He can't make anything. He makes open threes once in a great while when Nobody's from here to, I don't know, Maryville, Indiana. No. I'll give the guy credit, Sam Green. He did a great job in saying Angel Reese is about as offensive to a basketball player as it could possibly be. But both Green and Green, the two Greens, were chicken shit. Say it, Draymond. I didn't like being called the worst layup shooter in America. Say it, Green. Of course I was using a woman to offend Draymond Green, and it worked. Stand up. Jimmy Sexton. Jimmy Sexton's big fat ass agent that everybody in the South kisses the ass of. He is the agent of James Franklin, who famously got Das Boot after a 3-game losing streak at Penn State. And yesterday, he was announced as a head coach at Virginia Tech. I was kind of hoping James Franklin, as the head coach of Virginia Tech, would coach the last 2 games at Virginia Tech this year. You're the head coach. Go coach. I don't know. He's about to get a bunch of other guys jobs, too. Well, I guess there's going to be a bunch of other guys not named Lane Kiffin get jobs, but Jimmy Sexton, he the man. Jimmy Sexton's the man, the wheeler dealer, the typical fat-ass Southern guy that understands how to work the back room. You want a job? Call Jimmy Sexton. I assume by saying what I just said about Jimmy Sexton isn't going to get me the job, but I don't want one. I like the 3 jobs that I have. Losers of the week, Kentucky basketball. It is so funny. Kentucky basketball, Big Blue Nation, they are trying to oust their coach. They are mad at Mark Pope. There he is. There's the Pope. A year ago, Mark Pope was all the rage. 6 months ago, Mark Pope was all the rage. Kentucky spent $22 million on their basketball program. See, I said this yesterday, and it offended my doughy not friend, Matt Jones of KSR. I love making Matt Jones relevant. I do. Kentucky used to pay players and nobody else did, or very few other teams did. Kentucky had some great schemes going on. They got busted during the Eddie Sutton years for using FedEx or one of them places, but they had a great deal. $100, $10, $50, whatever it was, depending on the size of a recruit, on every horse at Keeneland to win. 5-1 shot wins. You got $100 in your hand on a ticket. That's $500. You keep the cash on to race 2. It was a great setup. Buddy of mine started national championship team. Sunday, they used to go to Booster's house. He said, Dan, I swear to God, I locked my car door. I swear to God I did. Pulled up to this guy's mansion, locked my car door. Somehow they broke into my car and gave me $1,000. This is 1978. Think about that for just a second. $1,000 to a college kid in 1978, and they broke in? No, everybody's paying now. Kentucky's always been the dirtiest, filthiest, most ridiculous, pious. They look like Democrats talking about others, and then obviously it is a projection about what they're doing. Bad people deflect on the good people because of the bad deeds they're doing. That is Kentucky basketball, and I love watching the whining. I never hated Kentucky, didn't care. Grew up, whatever. But now I don't hate the players. I like Mark Pope. I don't know. I couldn't name you 2 players. I just know they stink right now. Maybe they'll get better. Their football team sucks. Their basketball team sucks. Hey, Jamar Chase, you're just the latest. You're a cliche. Jamar Chase is simply a cliche of diva wide receivers acting like idiots. So he decides he's going to spit on Jalen Ramsey. And despite video evidence where, the eye in the sky don't lie, Jamar Chase does what Democrats/football players, particularly diva wide receivers, do. What's that? Just lie about it. Just deadpan look in the camera and lie like it's your job. We all saw it. You did it. NFL said, hey, we didn't see it on the field. We saw it now. You're done for a game. Going to cost him almost $600,000. He's an idiot, and we will look back on that and say, you know what? Probably going to be broke 5 to 7 years. Hey, look, I'm just saying he has a chance, I think, to follow in the footsteps of Antonio Brown more so than in the footsteps of Steve Largent, who went on to be a senator. Vermont substitute teacher, craziest story of the week. The Vermont substitute teacher, Melissa Martin, was charged with cocaine possession, reckless endangerment. And look at this woman, after being found under the influence in a classroom. An incident that included her allegedly mistaking a student for a dog. Now, I'm just going to tell you, I've never done drugs. I've never smoked weed. I've done gummies twice in my life. They just put me to sleep. And why? Because I'm worried about this. I don't know what my nervous system will do with heroin or smack or crack or lighting up a doobie. I don't know if I'm going to be running in the streets naked. I don't know if I'm going to be running around with a knife in my hand stabbing. And I don't want to test fate, frankly. This lady did, and she mistook a student for a dog. The incident occurred last month after a student reported Martin's unusual behavior to school staff, who then alerted police. She's been arrested, pled not guilty. Davey, you got more to add on this? Is this the one you got? What are we doing?
So Miss Martin, allegedly, she was showing erratic behavior. The other part about the story was at one point she was nodding off, which, listen, I'm no drug expert, Dan, but I know cocaine's not exactly a downer. But whenever one of the students followed her out of the classroom, she said, "Teddy, why are you off your leash?" And that was one of the things where they're just like, what is she talking about? And it turns out her dog at home, his name is Teddy.
Well, you know what, Davey? Don't do drugs. Just say no. That's, Jack, like, you're in school. Like, I understand. I didn't at the time, but now that I got older, hey, look, teacher comes hungover. All right, fine. But damn. Hey, best story of the week, Jets corner back Chris Boyd now in stable condition. Boyd was shot in the abdomen, early Sunday morning outside a Manhattan restaurant. He was upgraded to stable condition by police as police continued to search for the gunman. Boyd is only 29 years old. He was hospitalized. He underwent multiple procedures to have the bullet removed from his left lung. Good for them. Hey, let's get the woke-a-dope, shall we? Isn't it weird that in America our flag and our culture offends so many people, but our benefits don't? Wow. That's pretty salty right there. That's pretty strong. Yeah. Come for the anger at our flag, stay for the benefits. Yeah. Isn't it amazing that people, hey, I hate the flag. I hate you. We hate America. Hey, by the way, you got little SNAP benefits for me? Hey, you got a little something nice for me? Greatest country in the history of the world. And the bitching, whining, and moaning. Man, it's amazing to me. Next. Democrats, you can't blame people like Mondami for 9/11. He was a child. Also Democrats, you white ancestors might have had slaves 200 years ago. So you are also to blame. I would add to that, give us money. I ain't giving you shit. I'll go to jail before I pay a reparation. Screw you. My parents didn't have slaves, and I ain't paying nothing. Wrong with you. Next. The pardon was immediately overturned by a federal judge in Chicago. Yeah. You know what? Even turkeys get what? Pardoned by turkeys. See what I did there? Last thing. You know, I don't even know if this is Shakespearean, but I'm no scholar. But if this is Shakespearean or if this is someone else, I'm sure somebody will correct me. But the term "he doth protest too much" applies to she's as well. Look what's going on here. The yelling, the screaming, the bitching, the whining, and the moaning about Donald Trump and the Epstein files by Democrats always appeared to me about he/she, they, them, doth bitch too much. And now, wow, it's coming out. I mean, Hakeem Jeffries, what are you doing, son? You're trying to get money from who? From Epstein when? After he's already been proven to be a pedophile. We've got members of Congress literally, while they are trying to impeach Donald Trump, being fed information from who? Epstein? Wait, what? Of course, the lying then began. Jeffries said, I don't know who that is. I don't know nothing about him, man. What are you talking about? I don't know. Really? You don't? Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. Larry Summers, the professor at Harvard, making $1 million a year damn near. He called Donald Trump the gravest threat to America in his adult lifetime. That was in 2016. Well, guess what? Fast forward to today, he's apologizing to his near $1 million teaching gig to his students for his relationship with Epstein. This guy, Larry Summers, was allegedly, I'm going to say allegedly, although apparently there's proof, texting Epstein up to July 5th, 2019, the day before his arrest. He wanted questions answered by Epstein. Isn't it unbelievable? The yelling, the bitching, the moaning, the whining by these guys. You're learning now why so many dislike Donald Trump so vigorously. You know, Epstein wasn't a buddy of Donald Trump. Well, I guess he was, and then Trump kicked his ass out. Epstein was a financier and a partner of Democrats. 89% of the money he donated to political campaigns went to Democrat candidates. 0 went to Donald Trump. No. He doth protest too much is timeless. Sit back. Now that Trump has signed a bill to release the files, sit back, relax, and watch the show. Let the lying begin, Democrats. We're here for it. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.